Tuning in to the online broadcast network, AFTERBUZZ TV. Over 20 million weekly downloads in over 150 countries, and your number one source for after-show entertainment. AFTERBUZZ TV, the destination for TV superfans. Producing after shows for over 300 of your favorite TV shows. Interviewing celebrities and showrunners. And bringing you behind-the-scenes exclusives. All thanks to E! Entertainment's Maria Menounos, producer Kevin Undergaro, and internet leader Akamai. Now, let the buzz begin!
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Scorpion After Show. This is a blast from the past, very 80s. This is Glenn Fry, The Heat Is On. I have no idea why I chose this song, but...
Good song. I like it.
It's like a song you drive in a fast car over the bank.
The way to end this episode.
The way to end this episode. And The Heat Is On, the incinerator.
The Heat is on.
So many.
And The Heat Is On in so many other ways.
So many.
Yeah.
Perfect,
excellent
really.
choice,
Absolutely.
Nando.
Well, thank you. Anyway, my name is Nando Velasquez. Thank you so much for tuning in. You can find me on Twitter at Nandovel, Nandovel. And joining me across from me today, once again, Monse.
Hi, I'm Monse Bolanos. You guys can find me on Twitter and Instagram at Monse Bolanos, MonseBolanos. And to my left...
Hello, you guys. I'm Ryland Adams, and you can find me on Twitter at Ryland with an _Adams, and then on Instagram it's just Ryland Adams with no underscore.
Great. Thanks so much for tuning in, guys. This is episode 21 of season 1. You can tweet at us. You just heard our Twitter addresses. If you're watching us on AfterBuzzTV.com or on YouTube, you saw that underneath our names. But also, you can continue the conversation by texting us, tweeting us. We didn't give our numbers with the hashtag ABTV Scorpion.
If you're cute,
I can give you guys Nando's number.
Yeah.
Oh, you could.
Yeah,
I didn't know I gave you my number.
Oh, I have your number. I know where you live.
Okay.
We're all taking numbers.
Let's get on with this. So the name of this episode, Cliffhanger, and yeah, stuff finally went down. It's been a while. It's been a while since I've seen you guys. Another break.
Always a break.
Always
here
a break.
at Team Scorpion.
You know, and we got to see at least one character from the past, and it feels like ages ago where we saw that Mark Cuban type character, Elia, coming back after Team Scorpion rescued his daughter, and coming back with a couple of gifts for Walter, and he is trying to poach him, as Toby would say, trying to woo him over with the Ferrari. And with that contraption, I guess, the turbine, I guess, for the project that he's working on with Ralph, that Walter's working on with Ralph.
Side project.
Yes, the side project. But anyway, so very interesting to see that into play. Wondering if that will come into play in the season finale. But wanted to bring that up just because it obviously brings the catalyst to the ending with the car, and also we get to see a little bit of Ralph coming in, interacting, dressing just like Walter,
which was adorable.
Right,
like
very cute.
So, and I mean, I would have to say, as a kid, I would never dress up like that, but Ralph's a very different
he was
kind
getting
of
his
kid.
pictures taken, and he's a genius.
Picture day. He wants to be like Walter.
Would you dress like that if you were getting your picture taken?
Do you think? If I was that age, probably not, unless my mom dressed me. But he's looking up to his idol, so he wants to look like that. He wants to be just like him.
And we see Ralph and Walter looking over the car, the fast car, and we even see Sylvester get into it with his super fun guy. I love super fun guy. I love the classic character. Did you notice, Monse, since you host the Gotham After Show, did you notice the similarities between the other characters that Ralph was mentioning and Batman?
I get what you're saying. I didn't think of it when I was...
Oh, the giggler. Sir jokes a lot.
I mean, at the time, I heard you laugh about it, and I was like, oh, yeah.
Yeah. I thought they were trying to do a little Batman connection there.
He is going to save the world for the greater good.
Yeah, for the greater good.
For the greater good. And that's exactly how Batman would think of it. For the greater good.
I think Batman's a little more complicated than that. But
right. Why you have to dissect it all? Why do you have to dissect it all? Let's just turn everything Monse says. Let's dissect it.
Never mind.
It's
okay.
because of our love-hate relationship.
I love you. Just like
if they're not fighting in the first 5 minutes, it's not Scorpion.
It's not a Scorpion show. It's awesome. So let's move forward. I loved Ferret Bueller, by the way. We never saw him again again, but Ferris
I
Bueller is
know.
awesome. Yeah, so I just want to say I love him. So let's talk about this case, because really there was nothing relationship-wise. We'll get to the ending, to the stuff with Paige at the end, but nothing with Happy and Toby going on this episode, really, just one or two little throwaway lines. And, the big stuff finally came down. I've been predicting this for weeks, and it all had to do with this case, which was the neurotoxin lab that we saw in the opening moments. And that almost married couple, that fiancés,
Sarah and Jim
working together, just trying to figure stuff out.
And it's so sad.
It was rough.
It was pretty rough.
It was.
So let's get this straight. So we didn't know about this right away. We just saw there was a problem. They were handling nerve gas, sarin gas to be specific, right? And we see that Jim is in his hazmat suit with oxygen,
right?
And he is testing stuff, right? So, and we noticed there must have been some error, something going on, and Jim is trapped now in the room with sarin gas flowing around,
from the vents,
and his oxygen level practically cut off completely. Yes, at a very low level. So we find out from Cabe and Merrick that it's a hacker, hacked the system, and he's holding everyone hostage.
Yes.
All right. What do you think about this case, first of all, guys? I mean, in comparison to other procedurals that we've seen.
I mean, honestly, this is one of my favorite episodes.
Okay.
Like, last couple of weeks,
I
have not been the most happy with the show.
The show started out very strong, stayed strong, got a little bit better, and then took a little turn.
And
this is the start of a pickup, but then next week's the finale.
Yeah, but it was I was into it. I liked the case. Because sometimes they make the case a little too complicated.
Yeah.
Where it's like, you're making it sound really interesting and intelligent, but I'm not that intelligent. Thus, I cut you off after you start explaining too much of it. This one, they weren't explaining that much of it. It was like enough information where I was like, oh, I'm with you. I'm with you the whole way. I understand everything. It wasn't too complicated to follow, which I liked.
Yeah.
And it was interesting from beginning to end. I liked it.
Okay.
Yeah, I thought the pacing was good. I thought it started strong. There was a little bit in the middle where I was kind of like a little bit bored, but I think that was just before everything kind of started unraveling. And once it did start unraveling, I was there again.
Yeah.
But I guess that's the thing with procedurals in general. They have to build something. Like it can't be just like jaw dropping from all.
Even though they do like to do that, they really like dropping our jaws like 2 minutes into the episode,
yes.
and then keeping it
the
dropped.
Cliffhanger. Yeah, you're right.
They like to do that in the show.
I will say when we get to it, like stuff started hitting the fan late in the show.
Which was great.
I actually thought, because the name of the episode was Cliffhanger.
Right.
I actually thought when Ralph was going into the building that was going to be it.
Yes, you said that, and the episode's going to end there.
To be continued. I really thought it would be a to be continued type of thing.
Right.
But there was a lot of meat as far as the procedural is concerned in the second half, where everything was going down with the evacuation and Ralph going back in and Walter.
Guns being pulled.
Yeah.
Lots of stuff going down.
A lot of stuff going down. However, for this case, I guess the big stuff about this case really is what it sets up within Team Scorpion, because this hacker, this terrorist who is holding everyone at hostage, wants certain demands met. And of course, these demands bring back the whole Baghdad issue when Walter was a kid,
which had been waiting to come out for a long time.
Yeah.
Like it's been in the works.
Yeah.
I feel like they've been definitely teasing that something's eventually going to happen.
Oh, yeah.
We saw Cabe flare up at Merrick a couple of episodes ago, really, really pissed off at Merrick when Merrick threatened that he was going to tell Walter something. What do you think about, let me ask your opinion. What do you think about this revelation once it came out? I mean, the hacker's demands was to get POTUS, the president, to talk about everything that happened in Baghdad that caused 2,000 civilians to die in a bomb raid that was I guess it was an accident. It was a flaw in the calculations from the software that Walter programmed. What do you think about the reveal?
Of Cabe and Walter.
Of Cabe and Walter, yeah.
Yeah, that was my reaction.
They built it up so much that I thought it was going to be like, you can't come back from that, because Cabe was like hiding it and being like, if you do, like, it was just too much for too little, because it is forgivable in the stakes that were there. Like, you can see why he did what he did.
Is it forgivable? Is it forgivable? If you're Walter, do you think it's forgivable?
Yes, I'm saying if you're Walter, if you actually sit down and think about what happened, because the formula or whatever had already been released, it was out of their control, and then Cabe also told him that he would have gone to prison and Walter would have been charged as well.
Yeah.
So are those two things worth them stop? Well, I guess I don't know how many lives were taken, though.
They said 2,000 civilians.
Oh, well, see.
In the bombing.
I mean, yeah, that's pretty bad.
But
I mean,
like
that's 9/11 right there. I think 9/11 was about that much.
Yeah, but I agree with you. I think it's like, oh, so he found out 3 days prior. He wasn't lying. Like, he didn't know. And at that point, 3 days prior, how do you really stop that? And how old is Walter? 7? Something like that? 8, 9, 10?
Walter at that time? Yeah, I'm not sure. Maybe
right, like it's
9
like you weren't going to do anything. There was nothing.
Well, he would have shut it down.
He would have shut it down, and then he would have been in trouble. Like, that's... Yeah, like you're saying, there's really nothing that could have been done.
It's a crappy situation, and I think Cabe did what he thought was best at the time.
Yeah. Right, including for Walter.
So what happened to all of the people that died is very unfortunate, but I don't think 15 years later that's not unrecoverable for Cabe and Walter.
Well, 3 days before the bombing, Cabe had nobody had any idea that this would be an accident. Because really, what it ultimately is, they used Walter's programming to send a bomb down instead of munitions. And if that alone, if they got the leader that they were trying to get, the terrorist that they were trying to get, maybe that would have been okay. But it was an accident that these 2,000 civilians got targeted instead.
Right.
So I can understand Walter not revealing the answer to not Walter. I can understand Cabe not revealing the answer to Walter because he thought there's nothing he could do about it. They're going for this terrorist. Morally speaking, Walter would probably be against it, but is it worth treason and jail time?
Right.
So. I feel...
I want to point out before you go on, too, if it wasn't Walter's formula, it's not like they weren't going to try to take down that terrorist. Some other route would have been taken. So, like, yes, it did happen, but even if it wasn't Walter, something would have still gone down.
I guess something would have still gone down, but
Maybe
I guess they couldn't have
tragic.
stopped, but they couldn't probably have stopped. Well, I mean, Walter still probably would have been facing jail time and Cabe probably treason for telling Walter that. So they still would have they would have possibly tried to figure out another way to get this guy, but the damage would have been done to Walter and Cabe.
Right.
Considering, the blow up that he had with Merrick and considering, it seems to be teasing this whole thing, I don't know if this news was so lethal
Not at
either.
all.
I don't think it was so... Walter is obviously socially challenged in many ways, and he does have some trust issues. But I think even for someone with Walter's capabilities, I feel like this news wasn't as incredibly tragic. It wasn't like, Cabe even said, "I never lied to you."
Right.
I didn't know, and obviously Cabe suffered through the 2,000 losses, 2,000 civilians, just like Walter has.
Right. They're talking about that while they were in the heat thing. That Walter was like, I lived through the same amount of guilt.
Yeah. So I don't know. Maybe it was just a build
very,
up.
very mediocre for what we were expecting. I thought he was going to say like it was all my fault. But I'm the one who sent.
For the greater good of the story, it did progress what went down. It all led up to the moment of him. It did progress the story well.
Right. It still upset Walter as much as if would have been if it would have been
right.
more
It still
severe.
did what it needed to do to get the right outcome.
Well, and Walter was completely affected throughout this episode.
He does have the right to be mad. It just wasn't as epic
not
of a
like
situation.
how he snapped and was like, I can't work with
Never
him.
again.
You can never say that you are trustworthy.
I love
Calm down. Sit down, Walter.
I love that Cabe just kept saying, "You can trust us" to the woman.
Right. And
you can trust us. We're here to be there for you. So trust us, and we'll trust that you can get out and trust. And then finally, Walter just said, "No." So I think the writing was a little over the head with
sit
the
down,
trust.
Walter. Just sit down.
Yeah.
So I should have counted how many times he said trust.
You even made a comment. You're like, he keeps mentioning the word trust, and then he snapped.
About. Yeah.
You even made a comment, yeah.
But Walter's demands are, after this case, we're done. I'm not working with Cabe anymore. And, throughout this whole thing, obviously, we got to see an opportunity for Cabe and Walter to work together. And Paige kind of helped with that, obviously. Paige being Paige. And working with everybody in a way and trying to be the moral compass of the group. I hate saying that word. It's overused a lot lately. But the moral compass and just being there for everybody convinced Walter when he was going in to work with Cabe. And I gotta admit, I did love this incinerator scene.
Yeah.
That was a fun scene.
It was great.
It was.
Yeah, and seeing them work together.
Yeah.
Because I mean, and that was needed as well to kind of. They did play out how that went down well because they forced them back together, but not too much. But then they still like broke up at the end.
Yeah.
So I liked how they
broke up.
how they played with that. But I don't know. I think Walter does have the right to be mad, even though it's not as crazy as we thought it would be.
Yeah.
I still think when you work that closely with somebody and you've built, especially since he's like a father figure to him, I feel like he can feel betrayed because of that. Because he's like, I get why you're doing that, but you could have told me that 10 years ago, or like, why wait this long?
Yeah.
It's really just a trust issue. Like, it's, you know, that's, you broke someone's trust, and everyone has their own, you know, rules on their own trust
and limits, and
their own limits,
with specific people as well. How
so
much
it's like,
importance?
I'm disappointed with what he did, but I understand.
But you're not firing him.
You're not firing him,
right? But
and they worked well together. I mean, when they were down in the incinerator, and then afterwards, they worked incredibly well together. And
because they shouldn't break up. Like, that's the truth of the matter.
Well, do you ultimately think they will?
Who knows?
This is a cliffhanger, Ryland. Okay.
That's the big cliffhanger.
Hence the title of tonight's episode.
Yes,
literally, he's hanging.
That's one of the
from
cliffs.
A cliff.
That's one of the cliffs.
Oh my gosh, he is hanging from a cliff.
Literally, the cliffhanger didn't mean the story was going to leave us.
It means Walter's
It means
hanging.
I think it's multiple. I think it's multiple levels that it's a cliffhanger.
But that's the best level.
Right? I know. Thank you.
That's the first level.
Yeah.
Yes.
So
Literally.
on one hand, we have Walter and Cabe dealing with their issues together. In the case, and they're trying to they're dealing with this distraught woman who just lost her fiance, because we saw when the first deadline was up,
Which is tragic.
That was rough.
Yeah, and Sylvester
Jinx.
wanted the TVs off for that. He didn't even want to see that. On the other hand, let's talk a little bit about Ralph, because we have Ralph, who, it's really funny actually. First he's at school and the principal is reprimanding him because he's telling all the other students the effects of nerve gas on the body.
I mean,
and
he's looking out for his classmates.
Yeah. She's like, keep it appropriate. He's like, I'm just speaking the truth, lady. Just because I have a higher IQ than you.
Just because you don't know what this does to our body doesn't mean the rest of us.
I'm just trying to
know.
think if there's always a kid in my class that was like that. Always say the stuff that was a little too much. But I'm guessing.
Was it you?
No, I don't think it was me.
Okay.
I don't think it was me. I wasn't that smart. I was kind of smart, but I wasn't that. I was a smart ass. Anyway.
Me too. Yeah.
But we see Ralph in the principal's office, and the principal, of course, gets sent away, which usually means something's going to happen. And Ralph ends up going on her computer.
Yeah, about that. Sorry, can we move? When I was in the principal's office, I would never get left alone in there.
Yeah.
Right? Isn't
you
that
get like
weird?
back in the waiting room with the
way.
receptionist.
Yeah.
Really?
Have you?
I mean,
never been
you got left alone in the principal's
I'm
office?
trying to remember if I did. Maybe somewhat alone, but not
I don't even
like,
think we had deans, not principals.
Yeah.
Like we had I don't even know what our principal did. We went to like the dean when we got in trouble.
Yeah, but Ralph is not your typical delinquent kid. He's
I
not
guess
like
you're
going
right.
to
She
pull
wasn't
knives
worried.
on people or anything.
Right.
He's just a really uberly smart kid who revealed too much information in class.
Okay. All right, you're right. I see you. Carry on. Okay.
You win this round.
He's not
You
like,
win this one.
He doesn't
One
have his
for
gang
Nando.
color. He doesn't have his gang colors on.
You're right. All right. One for Nando.
Yeah, and he looked extra nice that day because he dressed up for his photos, which never
Right.
probably got taken.
White collar crime at the most. White collar crime.
Right? Yeah, that's true.
So anyway, so we see Ralph hack onto the computer, get on a computer, discover the whole
Scorpion
Scorpion,
debacle.
which he knew about it apparently because everybody in school's talking about it. That's why he talked about the gas, and he sneaks out of school because Team Scorpion is on the case, and he's part of the team.
I want to point out, how do you think he got from point A, the school, to point B, the crime scene?
He ran. He sprinted.
Yeah, I wonder how far in LA that is. That's a pretty big trip for a little kid.
That is.
Maybe he Ubered.
Maybe he Ubered.
Yeah.
You know what?
Maybe.
Kids can Uber these days. As long as they have a phone, they just Uber anything.
Yeah. He was probably really close. Like
Uber
They
anything.
could Uber.
he could
There
Uber
has
it.
to be an age limit for
Yeah.
Uber. I
He's
would
really
think.
smart.
I don't
guys.
think there's an age. I don't think there's an age limit for Uber.
8-year-old like on their mom's iPhone, like, let me just get an Uber to.
I want to go to McDonald's. I'm gonna call an Uber.
But yeah, Ralph gets out of school.
They'd use
He
Uber
sneaks.
Fresh.
Gets his
going,
food
sorry.
through Uber Fresh. Anyway, so Ralph sneaks out. Ralph ends up going to the crime scene, and a police officer smartly grabs Ralph. Doesn't want a kid running around with all this gas possibly about to leak. Locks him in the police car. And I didn't realize you had this much access on a police car computer.
I didn't even think about that. Well, no, I didn't even think you had access from the back seat to the front seat.
Isn't there usually like a fence?
I guess, but I
don't know.
no,
I've never been in the back of a
in the
cop
front.
car.
He put him in the
He put him in front,
the back. No, he climbed to the front.
What we did?
Didn't he climb to the front?
Yeah, he climbed to the front, and that's what I was thinking. I'm not.
So wait, are you judging me for knowing what a cop car looks like? I don't understand.
Have you seen the back of one?
Have you not seen
I mean, I haven't sat in the back of one.
Okay,
I'm
well,
I'm
there's
a
a
good
fence.
boy.
When Monse was not in the principal's office, she was sitting in the back of a police car in school.
All right. So the point is that there's an incorrect fact in the Scorpion episode. There should be like a fence or
Take
something.
it from Monse. The back
And
of a
if
police
you-
car is
if
hard
you
to
want
climb
to know what
to
it
front.
looks like,
Yeah.
Nando's giving her digits.
I've even seen people try and like climb out of there, like kick the windows out. It's like impossible. So I don't. Yeah, I didn't do that. I've seen it. Witness. I've been a witness
We're
to
learning
weird
too much
stuff.
about
I
you,
know.
Monse. We're learning too much about you. But anyway,
Right?
I'm just as surprised that Ralph could get news report. I guess you can get news reports on a police
Yeah.
computer, and he's hacking into the computer.
I wonder what they have access to. Is it a legit computer in those cars?
I guess, but he was also getting because he was also hearing the walkie-talkie stuff when Cade
Yeah.
and Walter were
That's
in the
probably legit though,
incinerator.
because it's probably in their car,
Yeah.
so that they get the messages.
But and you know, at one point we see Ralph type, and you see the computer screen, and it's just like word.
Right.
It wasn't even letters coming up; it was just like words, like super fast coming up on the screen. So it was weird. It was weird, but Ralph is there to be part of Team Scorpion, and once he finds out that the sarin gas is about to be released. And while Walter and Cabe are in the middle of it, Cabe's doing evacuation. Walter's
At gunpoint.
Yeah, Walter's fixing the cables and trying to go to confront the terrorist. Ralph sneaks in, and luckily Sylvester sees him, and Paige is all worried. But Ralph sneaks in to save the day, and he figured out that he had to close the incinerator wall. Pretty ballsy kid.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, he's part of Team Scorpion.
Yeah.
I would've
He didn't get
never.
it from Sylvester.
Yeah,
And
I would have never. Unbelievable.
And I think if Walter knew that Ralph was in there, I think
Game changer.
the episode would change drastically.
Oh yeah, I definitely.
But Walter didn't have his mic or his little earpiece anymore.
Yeah, that was a really good way of getting Walter out of the loop as far as Ralph being in there by doing that. Actually, now that it's mentioned, that was a good call. So anyway, so Ralph, badass. They just happen to have the magnets still on the incinerator from when Cabe and Walter were climbing down.
Right.
And yeah, you were saying it, Paige.
Yeah, good job, Catherine McPhee, on those acting chops. I really believe that your son was in danger.
And she's a mom, yeah.
Yeah, like you see terror in her eyes, which is, I assume, how a mom would feel. I have no idea. I assume if my dog was falling, I would feel
My
like
dog?
that. That's the closest thing I can know. But that's as close as I can relate. But she totally sold it. You go, girl. I believed it. I was all for it. I was like, save him.
I know.
Get it, girl.
And
Get it.
she did a little stunt, there with Happy and Toby
Yeah.
holding on to her.
I knew right then and there, she's like, I'm leaving this place.
Yeah.
I'm taking my kid and I'm running. Drew, where you at?
Where
pretty
you
much
at?
that-
Not playing because you ain't good. You
Yeah,
ain't a
well, I think we
coach.
realized that was going to be the catalyst to get Ralph out of Team Scorpion, most likely. So we saw, and also, by the way, just a little side note, way to bring up the random little pieces throughout the show that all of a sudden get used, like super fun guy doll with silicone. Ralph just happens to have it in his wallet, and even when Happy gives the blowtorch to Walter before they start climbing down, she just gives one little item that, oh my god, it's an emergency. They just happen to need that one
There you
specific
go.
item. So
Right.
way to bring these little devices into the show and have them all of a sudden just miraculously be needed in
Right.
such a way. So anyway, so Ralph is rescued by Paige, and we see Walter confront this terrorist, and I don't have his name in front of me, but we see Simon. And I mean, this is big because Walter is obviously distraught. We're going back to the whole Walter Cape thing. Walter's distraught, and Walter ends up confessing to Simon that he's the one responsible. He takes full responsibility for the Baghdad operation. And I thought what Walter had to say was really, really cool as far as he doesn't want any more lives to go. And, he's been trying to fix all these lives ever since. I think that definitely comes into who Walter is.
Right.
Right? So yeah, so I mean, and even toward the very end, Simon obviously was going to kill everybody no matter what. He releases the sarin gas. Ralph saves L.A. and Cave saves everyone else in the building.
Paige saves Ralph.
Yeah, and then Paige saves Ralph, and we see Simon trying to take Walter out to kill him on live TV to send his message.
Brutal.
And Cabe is there just in case to do the kill shot, but Walter gets out of there, severs. Actually, I mean, we're kind of talking about this a little bit backwards, but he severs the wires that were in before so that the doors would lock automatically, which sets off the incinerator that gets Ralph into trouble to begin with. But Walter escapes, and Simon starts shooting the gun, and again, Walter wants to save Simon.
Yeah, he still wants to save him.
He keeps saying, drop the gun and I will do whatever I can to save you. But the guy is just destined to go.
Yeah. It's really sad. It's Walter being such a good guy. He even said, Simon, you're not a bad guy. You just, obviously going
caught
through
in the wrong situation at the wrong time.
Yeah. So I thought it was really touching. And of course, Cabe was there to save Walter if Walter wasn't able to get away from Simon. But yeah, this episode pretty much ends with Simon dying, everyone else rescued, LA being safe. But Team Scorpion is not.
Team Scorpion.
Yeah, they're not in good shape. We see Merrick, and here's the thing too. Merrick was the one that it sounds like Merrick was the one that did the order for Baghdad, and Walter can have a normal conversation with Merrick, but
it's just it's a personal thing. It's a trust.
It's the dad figure. It's like he's had that there for so many years, and I don't think he ever really had that.
But that's so true. In reality, you should be mad at Merrick.
In reality, you should be mad at Merrick. I agree.
When we talk to Walter, we'll just fill him in on that. Walter, Merrick's problem.
But anyway, so we were kind of in the dust for a moment. It seemed like maybe there wasn't an absolute 100% issue about Cabe being left out until Cabe and Walter meet and they have a little interaction. And Cabe's like, if you want me to resign, fine, I'm resigning.
Right.
And Walter didn't stop him. So and it's interesting. The team's decimated. I didn't realize how much everyone really loved Cabe until this moment, really. I didn't think of it.
Well, he's, their first source of employment.
Yeah, I think
so Toby's concerned.
But I think they all, in a sense, see him as like a father figure to Team Scorpion. Yeah. Yeah, Paige is the mom. The mom, the normal one that can, associate with us normal people, I guess. But Cabe is somebody else completely to them. That's like their leader. They're maybe not a father like Walter, but it's like their leader. They look up to him. They trust him. They know that he's not going to put their lives in danger.
Them all into those situations.
Right.
But yes.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yes.
And without him, I feel like they don't think they need him. They know that they need not just Walter's perspective and Walter's orders, but they need somebody to balance Walter.
Yeah.
And he can't be balanced by just Paige. He needs this other one. Okay, I'm
just saying it right now. There isn't a Scorpion without him because that's their source of employment. Like I was saying, yes, they could get another government contractor on their case, but it's like they've built this relationship with him, all of them. Like, yes, Walter was the core of that, but now it's like when somebody's been in your life for so long, that becomes just like some you can't not become attached,
Yeah. Well, yeah, it seems like obviously this affects everyone, and Toby seems to be the one that's mostly concerned about employment.
Right.
So it's interesting because I thought he just wanted he wanted Merrick to reassign somebody else so that they would still be working for Homeland, but it sounds like with Cave gone, their jobs more or less with Scorpion, with the government kind of go to. So we'll see about that.
We'll see, yeah, but that's what it seemed like.
We'll see about that, but the big thing at the very end that pretty much sets off the finale, the very ending, is, and we saw it coming. You mentioned it, Ryland. This is the thing. With Ralph going in there, sneaking out of school, putting himself in danger, almost killing himself.
Yeah.
This is what Paige was worried about from earlier in the season when Ralph was getting in trouble, that Team Scorpion's not a good fit for him, that she wants to keep Ralph safe. And, we didn't think that Drew and her had that big a connection, but she'd rather be with Drew and take Ralph with her to be with Drew so they could be a family, so they can have a father.
I think Ralph's the priority, and that was the last straw in seeing that, my son is not safe here. Even if this is a good environment for him to learn and feel accepted, that might not be the best thing in the long run for him. You know, because if you were a mom, wouldn't you think the same thing after you see your son almost die?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, she can't control Ralph apparently because you just think that
put him
Ralph will
in
be good in
school.
school.
Yeah.
And he sneaks out and he gets all the way to whatever part of LA they were in by himself. And even getting locked in a cop car doesn't really help him out any.
No.
You know, he'll do what he has to do. And I guess the best answer for Paige right now is to keep Ralph as far away from Scorpion so he doesn't come. You know, maybe he can go across town to find Team Scorpion, but he's in Maine. That's 3,000 miles away.
Right.
And I guess it could be Scorpion. Like, even earlier in the episode, they were talking about how Ralph is indeed a part of Team Scorpion. So maybe he feels like it's actually part of his duties to, like, be with the team and help the team and do that, like, in his mindset, you know?
Well, they love him. I mean, we saw him in the beginning of the episode. You know, the second he comes in, Walter's like, come on, check out this car I just got from Elia. Right. And Sylvester's, like, giving him a super fun guy character, doll from the 70s. And he thinks he's part of the team. They've done exactly what they said they would with Ralph, which was make him included.
Yeah.
When he was by himself and nobody understood him.
Yeah.
So
ultimately, it kind of hurt him.
Yeah. I mean,
although he saved the day.
He saved the day, but that's the thing. He's so similar to Walter, and that's what she wants him to be away from.
Yeah.
He's so similar in the sense that, like, when he was in danger, he didn't even.
He was
like,
just plowing through it.
Like,
I'm part of the team.
Mom, I'm part of the team. I gotta do this.
Job,
for the greater good, I'm part of
Yeah.
the team.
You know?
He says greater good,
Yeah.
which I think was huge. And I think that argument or that altercation between Paige and Walter was pretty intense,
A little bit.
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
I mean, especially Walter. Walter was saying, is it so awful being me? Is it so awful being around me? I felt like he.
I know. I was like, oh, of course you would make it, because the choice of words to say that, is it so awful being me?
Yeah.
When that's not what she was saying, but of course you're gonna think that that's what somebody would say. But
Well,
she wasn't saying that it was awful to be
He
him.
associates Ralph with him, though.
Yeah.
Right, but but I'm saying, like, she doesn't think Walter is an awful guy.
No.
She just thinks that Ralph is 7 years old and shouldn't be Ralph yet.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Walter yet. That's really what it is. Because Ralph will be Walter at some point.
Well, I think it was, Walter's been, kind of selfish this episode. I mean, obviously the news from Cabe really set him off, and he was putting the team at risk and putting the mission at risk from the beginning. But I mean, that moment, I kind of felt for him too, because he was channeling that little kid inside him too. It's like, is it so awful being me? Is it so awful being different? And that you're going to take away the one person that I'm bonding with so well on such a human level, besides Paige. But I thought it was really intense. I don't think we've ever really seen him like.
Yeah.
He was loud earlier, but in that way, talking to Paige, never seen him react like that.
Yeah.
And that kind of was
A whole
jarring.
different side.
That was jarring to me.
He was like hurting as he was yelling, and you could see
He's
it.
feeling feelings.
Good job, both of you.
Yes, good job, both
Good
of you.
job.
So,
Are they still dating? That
In
we know
real
of?
life?
I don't know.
Because that would be an intense
News
scene to
and
film with somebody
gossip.
that you're like
I mean,
dating.
probably fun though. Like if you guys like, like honestly, if you guys maybe
just
like,
let it out.
Take it out.
Remember
a
that
little
fight we
bit.
had the other day? Let's
Yeah,
just let it out.
let's
This
just-
one.
this is the
let it
scene.
out. Let's
This is
just
the
do
scene.
that.
Yeah.
Well, anyway, so where we leave off before the very end is we see Cabe is no longer part of Team Scorpion. He is
For now.
resigning. And Paige is going to be taking Ralph to Portland, Maine, because Drew got that coaching job. And they're going to go up there.
They'll be
And the
back.
te's kind of decimated. And Walter in particular is incredibly decimated. So what do you do when you're all pissed off? Go grab the keys to a Ferrari.
An audition for Fast and Furious 8.
Yeah, there you
Audition
go.
for Fast
Because
and
that's totally what he was
Furious.
doing in that.
So driving across the Hollywood Hills at top speed, and then there's some coyote, I guess, or
Something.
wolf.
Fox. One of those animals.
Yeah, one of those things crosses the road, and Walter careens out over a cliff. And now Walter's life's in danger. I got to be honest, in a way, this episode almost feels like a season finale in itself. Like if you
Right.
didn't know what was going to happen to all these people, because usually
You're
season
right.
finales sometimes have people that you don't know whether the actor's coming back or the character's coming back. So there's a lot of that.
Well,
there.
the show couldn't go on without Walter.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I know, but not just Walter. I mean, Cabe and Paige
Right.
and Ralph.
Yeah,
too.
they kind of left it out open.
Yeah. They left it out there.
I'm excited though because the next episode looks really good, and I feel like it's going to test a lot of their relationships and see how much they actually care for each other.
Yeah, I think it's going to be really good. In fact, I think we've pretty much hit all the major stuff for this episode. So let's move on to predictions.
And now, your AFTERBUZZ TV predictions.
Okay, so just a disclaimer. Well, first of all, we have another episode next week. It's the season finale to boot.
Yay.
So we have 2 episodes in a row. 2 episodes in a row.
We get to see each other 2 weeks in a row.
2 weeks in a row, and then that's it.
And then that's it. Bye.
Then that's it. Bye. Goodbye. Oh boy. So for those of you who do not like to watch scenes from next week, who don't want to be spoiled, we're going to talk about that right now. So let's not, spoil it for you. Just tune out.
You're part of the show right now.
Tune out.
But we haven't seen it, so we're not ruining much.
Well, we've seen clips for next week, so we know. We talked a little bit. There are people who are specifically.
You think people watch the show and then they're like, I can't see clips from next week?
Ryland? Yes, they do.
Really?
Yes, they do. I don't know about Scorpion specifically, but there are other shows. Yes, they do.
Because they just don't want to know what's coming.
They don't want to know what's coming, and I give them credit. I give them credit because I don't have the willpower to just turn off the TV before I see scenes from next week.
It gets me so excited.
But there are people who do. But anyway, we're diverging off the subject. So we saw a lot of all the scenes that we pretty much saw had to do with Walter being stuck in the car over a cliff in
hanging.
danger, cliff hanging. His life is in danger, and we see Paige running. What do you think? So there are a lot of question marks leading out of this episode. And I guess the question marks are, is Cave going to still be part of Team Scorpion? Mm-hmm. Is Paige going to leave for Portland still, even with us seeing her there? What happens to the rest of Team Scorpion? I mean, I'm guessing Walter stays alive. I think we're all going to predict that Walter stays alive, right?
No, I think he's going to die.
You think he's going to die?
But I hope they give us a good run for our money and really have us on the edge of our seat. That's what I'm hoping for next episode. I want it to be the whole episode, I'm sitting on the edge of my seat oh shoot, what's going to happen? I want to know if Paige is coming back. I want to know if are they going to end it with them dating? What's going to happen?
Well, I think the Mark Cuban character, Elia, is going to come back. And I think Walter's going to make a decision for the season finale that he's going to leave Team Scorpion and join Elia's company. And
just because it's been too much for him.
I think it's been too much for him. He's going to be really upset. So I think he's gonna walk out. I actually do think he's going to survive, but he's going to walk out. And of course, season 2 we'll see him come back for whatever reason. But I think they're going to leave us there.
So if he goes to the other company, is Gabe going to reconvene with the rest of Scorpion?
That's a good question. I mean, I think they're going to split up, and maybe Cable. I don't know what Cable will do. But
that would be interesting. And then the second,
I feel like they might all so if that were to happen, I feel like the next episode of the next season, they would all kind of get their own. It would start out a couple months later where they're all in their own worlds, doing their own kind of jobs in their kind of realm
I would like
of work.
To see that, actually. I think it'd be interesting.
That's kind of what happened in Scandal when Olivia left. They kind of were all doing their own thing, and then they came back. Sorry.
I love how you're comparing Scandal to this.
No,
it's awesome.
Scandal. Okay. So, but then they all came back, and then there was these strange connections that kind of connected them and kind of made them be oh, I missed that person. And there's this moment where they'll all come back together for an event or for something that needs to happen with Cabe, and then everyone, Team Scorpion, will reunite.
Interesting. What do you think, Monse?
The episode is called Postcards from the Edge.
Yes.
So I have a feeling that I'm thinking it means literally that Walter's going to be hanging from the edge and writing a postcard to Paige.
Maybe
saying,
to everyone.
or to everyone, just kind of expressing his feelings one last time, maybe.
Okay.
And then those postcards probably never get seen because he gets saved, and he's just going to put them in his pocket. And nobody's going to know.
So Paige and Walter, you're saying, are not going to get together?
Not, because the writers don't want to give them to me. So
got it.
No,
okay.
Writers don't want to put them together.
Do you think he'll be yelling out from the cliff what he feels about the people on his deathbed?
Yeah, and then they're going to be stop yelling, you're going to fall.
I don't know.
And then Cave is going to come save the day, save him, and once he gets saved, he's going to do what you said, that he's going to, I'm done. It's going to go my way. Paige is going to go her way. And season 2 is going to be we're, Scandal, where they all
Where
do their own thing,
and then they come back together.
All right, Nando, what about you?
Well, like I said, I definitely think Walter's going to go away.
It's a great prediction.
Yeah, I think he's going to go away, and I think Paige is going to at least go away as well because she doesn't have Walter to keep her there if Walter's going away on his own. And I don't know if Cable said. Here's the one thing I want to say about this episode. I mean, Walter being on a cliff with the fancy car, like there better be some extra circumstances because it feels like that happens in LA from time to time. I don't want to say all the time, but I feel like a car kind of, dangling over a cliff.
It's
like,
just like
it's
a
not
Tuesday.
a Team Scorpion job. It's not a Team Scorpion job. It's a tow truck job. I feel like there's got to be some extra circumstances that they need Paige there, that need everybody else there.
Yeah, it's gonna be something about the angle of the cliff that he's on.
Oh
that
yeah,
they
it's
can't
gonna
get
be
to
like
it.
Sylvester's gonna be like, according to my calculations, you have 3.25 seconds before the car weight shifts 5 millimeters.
So that's
and
all.
you're dead.
That's the only thing. That's the only concern I have. Anyway, that pretty much wraps up this edition of Scorpion After Show here on AfterBuzz. Where can we chat with you guys during the week, guys?
Well, you guys can find me on Twitter at Ryland_Adams, on Instagram at Ryland Adams, and you can check me out on Clever News all week long.
Awesome. Yay. You guys can find me on Twitter and Instagram at Monse Bolanos, Monse Bolanos. You can also catch me Monday through Wednesday on Latino TV. Woo-woo.
Nice. And you can find me on Twitter and Instagram at Nandovel, Nandovel. You can also find me here at AfterBuzz for a bunch of other shows, including Survivor, Blacklist, some other stuff I can't remember right now.
Like Gotham.
Hey, I'm going to be
Blacklist.
Gotham this week. Yeah, Blacklist, awesome. So anyway, and please rate and comment on us.
Yes.
We got one more episode. Love to hear from you, and we'll catch you next week. Thank you.
Finale!
Bye.
From executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.